Foods, 232 Lincoln Road.
At Master's Pharmacy, we put your health and convenience first. We offer free blood pressure checks and blister-packed medication. With our free same-day prescription delivery service, you can have your medication when you need it. We also offer travel vaccinations, including Hajj and Umrah, along with other services to meet all your pharmacy needs. For more information, contact Master's Pharmacy on 01733 567 208 or visit us at 303 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PH.
Whether you visit the Berry Furniture Showroom at 78B Fengate in Peterborough or view and buy online, you'll be amazed at the quality and style you could enjoy in your home. With beds from just £299 and complete 321 sofa sets from less than £1,000, you'll also be amazed at their wholesale prices too. Plus, there's a 1-year free warranty on sofas and beds, subject to conditions. Find out more, click on Berry, that's BERRE furniture.co.uk or call 01733 300 517.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio, broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tech Factor. I'm your host, Akil, and you are tuned in for an hour of tech talk where we'll dive deep into the latest in connectivity and share some of the quirkiest tech stories of the week. We're going to be unpacking how 5G is transforming industries and even looking ahead to what 6G could bring to the future. So stay with us tonight as we explore some fascinating developments, and we'd love to hear from you. And as always, I'm joined by my brilliant co-host, Joel. Joel, great to have you here. You excited about tonight's show?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely great to be here.
Wonderful. It's good to have you here as well. Now, you're probably, those of you who follow us on social media for sure, are wondering, where are the other two
Everyone's wondering
Androids?
Where
right?
are they? Yeah.
And I've got it on good authority. They are both being defragged.
No, they are good.
So a big hi to Shamshad and Faisal, wherever you are in the world. Look, we'd love for you to get involved in the show. You can call us on 01733 602 133 or text us on 07411 191062 or comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Now then, Joel, I've been really looking forward to this show. You know that. I really, really have, because for me, this is a fascinating topic.
Oh, it is.
It really, really is, because do you know when 5G, like, I think to the common man, 5G really became a thing when COVID kicked in, because everyone was thinking it was giving us all kinds of diseases. Do you remember? Okay. Now, let's just dive straight in then. Our first topic tonight is 5G and beyond, the future of connectivity. Now, 5G is everywhere, but it's much more than just fast download speeds. It's already reshaping industries from healthcare to manufacturing and offering what experts call ultra-reliable low latency. In other words, faster connections with fewer interruptions, Joel.
That's correct. Yeah. Now, before we go forward, I want to take you back, Akil. We're going to go back 150 years.
When I was alive, obviously.
When you were alive, yeah. Industrial Revolution, yeah?
Yeah.
Industrial Revolution could not happen without the steam engine being invented. Well, the data revolution could not happen without 4G or 5G technology.
Wow.
How about that? Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Because the thing is...
You know, you've just literally just become my phone a friend. I mean, who wants to be a millionaire? I'm like, can you ring Joel? Yeah.
Because it's not just about... Well, for a start, you know, back in the 3G days, you had 3G, and before then, your mobile phone, like your little Nokia, you know, you had calls and texts. But then 3G came along, and then you had Blackberries, you had iPhone, first generation started to come out, and then all of a sudden you had email, instant messaging. And then ever since then, our thirst, you know, our hunger for data has grown and grown and grown, and the speeds have increased with that. So 4G, 5G, and then in the future, like you said, 6G, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But yeah, I just want to put that out there. I just want to take you back.
I love that.
Industrial revolution wouldn't have happened without the steam engine, and the data revolution that we've recently experienced wouldn't happen without this technology.
I've got a good authority that Fessel's from the Industrial Revolution.
Is he?
I'm just letting you know this. It's funny you should say that, actually. You know, you mentioned about the thirst for this, and you know, I'm guilty of what I'm about to say, which I'm like, I've only got 3G, because you like, this is slow.
Yeah,
right. And even you look at your phone, it's on 4G. Like, this is going to take ages, because we've already become accustomed to 5G without even realizing. I recall when it first started to roll out, it was only in the big cities. You know, you're like, I'm paying for this 5G mobile data plan, but I only get it when I'm in London or wherever that may be. Other than that, you're like, look, I've got 5G, let me test it, and bang, you've got this amazing speed. And then you come back to Peterborough and it's like, it's just 4G here. But now it's here.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
You know, if you look at but it's also device dependent. You need to have a fairly new phone. Certainly in the last, I'd say, maybe 3-4 years, I'd say. You need to have your
4 years.
4 years,
definitely, yeah. Most devices, if they're kind of like under 4 years old, will be 5G compatible. Maybe sort of like your lower entry end Android models or whatever, they might not still be 5G, but most sort of mid to high end phones after the last 4 years are 5G compatible. Yeah, and
interestingly as well, if you're driving an electric car or a car that has quite decent mid-range to high-range connectivity, they're also 5G.
Yes.
They're also 5G because they've been shipped with these chips, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later on as well. But no, great point, Joel, about the history of this. I think it's going to be fascinating, you know, how this is going to develop for us. Look, what we want to know is, what do you think about the future of 5G and 6G? Look, get in touch. Call us on 01733 602 133. I know I said that really, really fast, so I even said really, really there, really fast. I just realised. Text on 07411911062. Comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Joel is in the house. The data connoisseur. Joel himself is kind of like a data center himself, really. What can you say?
Lived through it, haven't we?
We have. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
You know, here's the thing. You know, we'll dive into this for a second. I just want to get this off my chest. It's important. We've lived through. I feel like, and I'm sure you're the same, Joel. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like we've living through the golden era of technology. I do. We've seen the most magnificent things happen.
So many technology revolutions.
Yeah. But then I'm thinking, I'm going to pop my clogs way before some of the really, really cool stuff comes up. But then I think, no, hold on. I've seen really, really cool things. We were alive when the internet was launched.
Yeah, and we'll be gone before we get to like 12G. We can measure our lifespan in terms of how big the number is before the G.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that would be that'd be on the headstone, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine say, okay, Akil Khalil passed on this date, and it will say 5G on the headstone. That's funny.
Interestingly, in preparation for the show, I was just like, what does that G mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that
was in my questions.
Yeah, we see that a lot, don't we? So do you want to let the listener answer that, see if they've got any ideas before we do a reveal?
I like that. Yeah? Yes, Joel. So can you tell us what the G in 5 or 6 or 3G or 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G or 6G actually stands for? What's in the G? Comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Or you can text us on 07411 191 062. Joel's got the answer. I actually don't have the answer, so Joel's going to reveal it in a little while.
Oh, really?
So this is going to be good.
Interesting.
Okay, so
G's used a lot when it comes to datas, when it comes to networks, when it comes to technology. That letter is used a lot. So when I looked up the answer, I had to look it up, obviously, and when I found out the answer, I was actually surprised at what the word is.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting.
This will be quite interesting.
Okay, so 5G has made real-time remote surgeries possible by allowing precise control from thousands of miles away. That's a game changer in itself. And it's also a huge leap for cloud-based solutions, making remote work and complex digital tasks more seamless. We experienced this ourselves. You know, depending on where you are. I've got a friend of mine, he works in Nigeria, he's British, he travels there, he's part of, he's in the minerals game, okay? And he couldn't do his job without 5G.
No, there's lots of things that we owe, that over the recent years have developed to the point where they are leveraging 5G. Like you said, public safety is way up there with sort of mobile CCTV vans and things like that are crowd controlling, that are looking after whether it's demonstrations or whether it's carnivals or whether it's football games and things like that. So there's a lot of sort of public safety that's coming from 5G as well. Not to mention smart environments within our cities. So things like 5G connected air quality sensors, noise pollution sensors, real-time data, gathering environmental data that again can be acted upon and issue people, with smog warnings and things like that, which could affect people's health with asthma and that as well.
And all of this is seamless, right, Joel? It's like, and the data's coming in instantly. So you could have a really, really powerful algorithm that's managing some type of data center and or type of application, and you could be in the middle of Norfolk and having no problems at all.
Yeah, you just need, it's just a SIM card, the same as what you put in your phone. So that will either be in like a USB dongle, or it will be in an actual 5G router itself, or the actual edge device itself. But it still comes from that SIM card, exactly the same kind of thing that you've got in your mobile phone.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and then if you factor into that, high gain aerials that you can sort of run onto the outside of buildings and things like that. So your mobile device that you've got, you might sit in a room like this and go, well, I've not got much signal. But if you're actually leveraging 5G for something like a mobile CCTV van or any kind of other sensors, then you can run high gain aerial in a low signal area and get good signal.
This radio station is run on a high gain aerial.
Is it?
FM.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a building here in Peterborough, I won't say where, but it's a very tall building. And we're not the only ones, there's other broadcasters as well. Same thing around other networks and critical infrastructure and so on. They have high gain aerials.
Yeah.
And I guess in many ways as well that you'll have, correct me if I'm wrong, hospitals and so on, which will use 5G as a backup.
There's lots of places
lots
that
of redundancy.
Absolutely.
5G is playing a massive role in redundancy, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It absolutely is. There's, in terms of hospitals and things like that, what they're doing with smart healthcare now, allowing patients to sort of send virtual signals, in terms of their actual bodily stats, so they can actually then quickly detect whether someone has got an issue that they need to go to. And again, it's that real-time data gathering.
That is interesting, because Wes Streeting, who is the current health secretary, I think, for the Labour government, and I think it was 2 weeks ago, Joe, he was talking about giving patients smartwatches, okay?
Yeah.
And that would help clinicians and so on, healthcare teams, to monitor data about that patient, to either it would encourage them to do more things healthily or provide data about their heart or whatever it may be. That will all be 5G.
Yes.
All of it.
Yeah.
That's how dependent we have become.
We have, yeah. And, once you're hungry for that data, you need more of it, and you find and think of different ways of using it. Now, I can't sit here and talk about 5G without also mentioning one of its sister technologies, which is GPS. And I can't actually believe that GPS is still a free-to-use technology.
Oh, wow.
Because if you think about, tracking, we talked about safety of tracking, we talked about patient tracking, we've talked about 5G bringing internet connectivity to rural areas and things like that. But quite a lot of those technologies, especially in terms of like autonomous vehicles and the even down to like where your delivery driver is he en route? I can see the van, he's 3 streets away and stuff.
Uber.
The sister technology of 5G has to be GPS. Yeah. So with GPS, the G for that actually global positioning system. So there may be a bit of a clue to what the G means in 5G and 4G. But I find it staggering that is still a free-to-use technology. And we've got the American military to thank for that. They actually devised GPS as a system and thought, this is really good, the whole world should have access to it. So unless if you've got your device and it's using the combination of GPS and 5G, you can achieve absolutely amazing things. So the GPS will give your it's powering your sat navs, it's powering your where your takeaway is, it's powering. Oh, I can track my running, I can track my health with it. I know where other people in my family are. But it has to work hand in hand with 5G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because GPS by itself is just that global positioning system. It just tells you where you are. But if you need to then understand what's going on with that person, the health of that person, or anything else, you need the data side of it. You need to transmit that data using the application that is harvesting that information, whether it's a Strava, if you're tracking a cycling thing or a running thing, or if it's your sat nav in your car, or it's Google Maps on your phone. The two technologies have to run side by side.
Wow, that's very, very interesting indeed.
But you'll pay for one, and the other one's free. Yeah, the GPS side of it's free, but you'll pay for your ISP or whoever it is for your 5G connectivity.
Absolutely,
so.
And it's not cheap. Well, I mean, it's come down in price quite a lot now. But I remember when the plans first came out, there was always a little bit extra they wanted for the 5G plan. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's fascinating. It really, really is, about how it's deeply entrenched. You know, you were talking earlier on about law enforcement and crowd control. You know, the other day I was driving through Peterborough and I saw a mobile police van. Okay. And obviously now these mobile police vans, Joel, are definitely going to be using AI, okay?
Yeah.
And they'll have even more sophisticated camera equipment in there. That's going to be using 5G.
It has to be, yeah. Yeah, it has to be. Especially when you think about if they're using also facial recognition. Because the great thing about 5G is it will reduce the amount of processing power you need on your edge device. So the stuff they put in the back of that van, they obviously can't fit in like an entire data center's worth of processing power. So what 5G does is it will take that data, move it to a cloud server somewhere. That data will then get processed by that server and then return the output back to the van, all via 5G. So if that van is using something like facial recognition, it will not be able to have, the entire database, of faces on there that it needs to connect to. So what it can do is it can take your image, move it to the cloud, look through the database and return back who you potentially might be and whether you're on wanted list or whatever it might be that they're interested in you for, sort of thing. So again, it's moving that data potentially somewhere else to a higher processing facility that can actually do more with that data and return it back then to its original source.
Brilliant. And and this, we're talking about 5G here, and we're going to be moving into 6G shortly, but it just goes to show you that the foundation that's been set by 5G is already phenomenal. So what's coming down the track is mind-blowing, which we'll share with you shortly. Do let us know, what does the G mean? What does it stand for in 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G and 6G? Joel's got the answer. You can text us on 07411 191 062 or comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. I'm sure you're Googling it at home. We don't mind. Okay, so, what's the difference between 5G and 6G? So one of them is definitely speed. 6G is expected to be 100 times faster than 5G, with speeds up to, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but speeds up to 1 terabit per second.
Yeah.
5G is theoretical speeds of 20 gigabits per second. But 1 terabit per second, Joel.
Yeah, and it's not just that, it's also then the latency of that. Essentially, the latency side of it, so this is how long it takes to send data and then receive it back, is essentially nothing. It's like sub-milliseconds.
It's in the microsecond range.
Microsecond range.
And that is, 5G has an end-to-end delay of 1.5 milliseconds, and we've just said on air to you that it's in the microsecond range. Blink and you've got it.
Yeah,
Blink
absolutely.
and you've got it.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely
that's
crazy.
That's exciting, right? The other key difference as well is that 6G will operate at higher frequencies than 5G, from 95 gigahertz to 3 terahertz. 5G operates at sub 6 gigahertz and above 24.25 gigahertz. Everything's moving towards T's here, Joel. The 6G will have greater bandwidth capacity than 5G. And if you look at the use cases for 6G, for example, and we were just rattling off numbers here, but in terms of use cases, it can be used for augmented reality, artificial intelligence, industrial internet, and even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people that are currently leading the charge with 6G, according to my sources anyway, are the South Koreans. And they are currently looking at starting 6G trials as early as 2026. And the South Korean government is actually investing like $169 million over the next 5 years just into 6G technology, because they want to develop it and secure patents for it as well.
And just to add to that, you're spot on. So South Korea is actually considered to be the leader in the race in 6G. It has 760. That's right, you heard it. 760 6G patents as of the end of 2022.
That's good. And they're looking at commercialising it as early as 2028 or 2030.
Wow. Do you remember we did a show, I think it must have been quite recently, Joel, and I said to you that the race, I mean, I think at the time we were talking about Apple and Samsung, again, a Korean company. The war on technology, a lot of it is now based on who's got the patent. Okay, so of course they've got it. It's South Korea. I mean, they had broadband on the underground, I don't know how many years ago. Wi-Fi 6 is already a local wireless area network, while 5G is a mobile communication technology. But I must stress that 6G is not currently functioning technology, and industry specific for 6G enabled networks are still years away. So this is still going to take some time to happen. But the fact that South Korea is already running towards it, you'll have the US, maybe parts of the UK government, you'll have Russia in there, you'll have China in there, some of the key players, potentially Germany in there, France in there, who will be looking at this and doing what they can. India will be in there as well, of course, to try and... it's a race, isn't it? It's a technological race, and people want to get to it first, but it's exciting.
It is, yeah. And, the one thing that, you've had a Tesla, you've shown me the sort of the autonomous driving side of it as well. And the glass ceiling with technology like that is if everyone's doing it. Yeah, so if everyone's doing it, it's not sustainable, because there's too much data that has to move from your vehicle to somewhere else to be processed to come back to your vehicle, so your vehicle then can make a decision as to whether to go, stop, left, right, what's ahead of it, because at the moment we haven't got the processing power, again, localized within that vehicle. It has to go somewhere to be processed to a certain degree to come back to the vehicle, so the vehicle then can make another decision. And at the moment, if every car was doing that, it wouldn't be sustainable, because you can't move that because of the latency, because of the speed of 5G. You can't move that amount of data to be processed to come back to the vehicle.
Yeah.
6G with 1 terabyte a second, 0 latency, everyone's at it. Wow. Everyone can do it. Yeah.
Wow.
So then you'll notice you'll see far more autonomous drones, autonomous deliveries, autonomous vehicles, especially sort of things like lorries and things like that, because the actual data throughput that you've got from those vehicles and the decision making can happen in near real time.
It's just so exciting, and I just hope I'm around for it. Now, just before you made your point, I did mention about the countries, and I can tell you, Joel, the key innovators and vendors in the 6G market, I was right, is you've got the US, Japan, France, India, UK, South Korea, Germany, and China. Yeah. And Spain's in there as well with Telefonica.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are, you got, where are we at? 9 countries, I think did I just say, probably. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, they're in it because they know the net benefits of this. And we have to also stress, Joe, we're talking about uses for us, uses for general society. But think about it. What about the application for armies?
Well, yeah, real-time data. Again, it all comes down to data and real-time data analysis of battlefields and positions of units, and feeding not just that data, but all of our other data into, like, again, more sophisticated AI models that we've got coming out even now. Again, if you can transmit to that AI to have decisions made and to interact with it and move that data between an edge device and a more centralized, higher processing system, then again, it's just going to absolutely revolutionize, again, everything.
The world. Yeah, absolutely. And also energy companies, I can imagine now, with this level of information, you've got somebody fracking, you've got somebody digging for oil, you've got somebody deep sea drilling, and having 6G that would only make things faster.
Yeah, well, with AI machine learning, you're absolutely right. Because not only would AI machine learning be able to optimize areas where you could then extract more energy more efficiently, but again, you're doing that in real time. You know, that's the real key. I think
we can't stress it enough, can we? It's like me and you talking right now.
I know we talk about 1.5 milliseconds.
Yeah.
Well, that is practically real time.
Yeah.
But in terms of data, it's a little while.
Yeah.
Okay. And the really interesting thing with this is and with 6G is it should be able to fit into our sort of current ecosystem that we've got, you know, with cell towers and things like that. So we shouldn't need to see a drastic change of infrastructure. Yeah. So there's not all of a sudden going to be different pylons having to be put everywhere for 6G. We should be able to adapt what we've already got in place. You know, and again,
especially in this country where we have to retrofit almost everything.
Yeah, that's good for the environment because, you know, and that cuts sort of carbon emissions and things like that, because again, you are repurposing and reusing masts that we've already got there. And we know that the masts are in the right place because of the kind of service and coverage that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, just thinking to myself, personally thinking about the possibilities, but I'm starting to think wider, community wider. How are we going to be connected? You know, I think more than anything, one of the things the key things that I've learned from you, you know, just talking to you tonight, Joel, is that the near instant communication of data, it's just so appealing.
I'll give you a community example. So we've talked about City Fibre before. We've just had City Fibre put into my street. That City Fibre came through the street here, that the radio station's on as well, and they dig up the roads and they put in a little bit of cable to your property and they stick the fibre in. And again, that's been the same way for generations with telephones and things like that. But if you've got high-speed 6G internet that you can then feed to a community where you don't need cables, you don't need to dig roads, you have your router that connects to that, and you have 1 terabyte connection in your home. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like you said, less impact in the locality, less impact on the environment, a better user experience.
Yeah,
and obviously we know it's not going to be cheap when it first comes out, but nevertheless, I think I'm just excited to have something where you know the speeds, the low latency, all these things just come to play a role. But I think generally, just for overall for humanity, really, this will be an amazing bit of technology. Would you believe it, Joel? We're already at an advert,
and we can reveal what G means afterwards.
We will. So stay tuned. Joel's got the answer.
Peterborough's community radio station, Salaam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalizing variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our location at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Need a taxi that won't break the bank? Amar Cabs offers safe local rides at affordable prices, starting at £3.99. Get to Heathrow for £120 and London Stansted or London Luton for just £88. Private school and executive business class drop-offs are also available. Booking is easy. Go to www.amarcabs.com and download our app on Android or iOS, or call 01733 555 888. Wherever you're headed, Amar Cabs is just a tap away with reliable, affordable rides starting at just £3.99.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Bite into something wonderfully tasty at Big Mouth, 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough. Eating in for takeaway or delivery. Big Mouth now have a delicious new menu full of all your favourites. Crispy fried chicken, juicy smashed burgers, finger-licking peri-peri chicken, handmade pizzas, quality doner meat and so much more. So visit the family-friendly Big Mouth restaurant for fantastically fresh food. Call 01733 201020 or visit getbigmouthonline.com.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
For the top pizza in Peterborough, visit Top's Pizza, established in 1988 for delicious pizzas with freshly made dough daily. View the extensive and mouth-watering menu online at topspizza.co.uk, then choose from traditional tasty toppings, something different, or create your own with fresh 100% halal meats, salads, veg, and a great choice of sides too. Call into Top's Pizza, 52 Broadway, PE1 1SB. Call 01733 913 775 or order online for delivery or collection.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Welcome back to the Tech Factor. And if you've just tuned in, we were just talking about 5G and its future potential alongside 6G. But don't worry, if you missed it, you can catch up and recap on our social media channels later on. Just before the break, Joel has been hiding from me. I don't know the answer to this. What does the G mean after 2G, 3G, 4G and 5G? Do let us know. Text us on 07411 191062. Text us on our live streams, Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Or if you fancy speaking to Joel, call us on 01733 602 133. He genuinely is a tech maestro. He really, really is. Joel, my understanding now is, from speaking about 6G with you as well, is that we should, I'm going to take this with a pinch of salt, we should have much better public services.
Yes, yeah, I'd like to think so.
Right, but they should be able to detect and future issues down the track on trains, aeroplanes and so on, because the data is coming in so fast. They should be able to have models in place that negates delays and so on. Am I right?
Yeah, and why do you think that's exactly why so many governments are putting so much money towards it to make the technology happen, to really push it on. I think that 5G, going back to the whole revolution, the data revolution that we talked about at the top of the show, I think that although 5G has, and the other the other Gs that we've had have helped us with that revolution, there is a glass ceiling, with that 5G technology, and I think we're kind of like there, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that what we're using it for and the volume that we're using it needs to be more. Because again, our hunger is insatiable for that data, and we want more data. We want to analyze more of it, and with the help of AI, we have the ability to analyze more of it. We've just got to grab that data from the source, take it somewhere to process it, and then come up with an answer. So you're absolutely right. There's
data
no
is
reason
effectively the most expensive commodity in the world now.
It is, yeah.
We literally, sitting when you're doing business planning and so on, you're like, okay, well, I need this data. I need to know personas. I need to do this. I need to know that. I need to understand, if you're for yourself, if you're in cybersecurity, you're thinking, okay, where's the back door into this system? Because I need to access the data, right? It's and
the more data we get, the bigger that snowball grows as we're rolling along through the years. Even if it comes down to, how stock markets work, predicting the future. We talked about battlefields, we talked about healthcare, we talked about transport systems, we talked about smart cities, and all of these things at the moment are there, but they can be so much more. But we need the technology from the source where it's actually being processed. Yeah.
So it's exciting times ahead.
That's going to be amazing. Yeah.
I hope I'm around to see it.
Oh, 2030, we're going to be here, aren't we?
I don't know, man.
2025 in a couple of in half a month.
Life is short. I hope I am. You never know. I might be on some sort of like 6G connected Zimmer frame.
I hope there's something that you're not telling us.
Or maybe there's like a 6G connected kebab machine that I'll get, and I'll think about it. So I'll have one of Elon Musk's Neuralink chips in my head, right? And I'll think kebabs, connect to 6G, bang, it's in front of me.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, speaking of Mr. Musk, 6G is going to make his Starlink technology redundant.
Yes.
I mean, why?
He'll
why
be
would
looking
you
at
have,
it as well.
To talk about the difference between satellite technology and the 4 and the 5G technology that we've talked about, the reason that we can achieve amazing latency times with mobile technology like 4 and 5G and ultimately 6G is because it uses cellular towers that are, well, you've seen them, they're a couple of 100 feet high, and it actually uses those towers to communicate and bounce your signal across the country at very, very low levels. When you talk about satellite broadband and satellite technology, that has such a high latency in comparison because it has to go 24 miles above the earth and then come all the way back down 24 miles. It's got it's like a 48-mile round trip that it's got to do just for one piece of data. And then when you start ramping that up into the megabytes and gigabytes worth of data, that latency builds up more and more and more, essentially acts like a traffic jam, having to go all the way up to come all the way down. And that's, that 24-mile trip there is best case scenario. What if that satellite is not in the perfect orbit? It could be even further away and you could experience even more latency. So I really think that sort of, as 6G develops, as 5G develops, I think that we will be looking less to the heavens and to the stars, and it will be, definitely take over a lot more things in a lot more rural areas. So some rural areas are using sort of satellite sort of broadband at the moment, but I think it will make things like Starlink obsolete.
What do you think, Mr. Musk? If you're listening to the show, Joel's saying your business is going to be obsolete, text us on the show and let us know. Oh, that's interesting. I'll tell you what, Joel, before we head over to Cool Stories of the Week, we've got a few answers coming in. One person is saying it's called Global. Someone else is saying, is it Gangster?
Yeah, no, it's sadly not.
Is it Gigabyte?
It isn't.
Okay, so...
No, unusually, it isn't. Now, normally when you see G, it's gigabytes. But anything to do with technology, anything to do with data, it's gigabytes. I've got gigabyte speed at home, on broadband. I've got so many gigabytes on my phone or on my hard drive. So every time you see a G, you think, oh, gigabytes. It's not gigabytes.
Drum roll, please.
It's generation.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Third generation, fourth generation, 5th generation.
It simply means generation, and it represents a significant improvement in speed and capacity and overall performance from the previous one.
It's so logical, isn't it?
Generation, 5G, 4G, 6G, sixth generation, fourth generation, 5th generation, speed. And that's what it boils down to.
I'm blaming Shamshad and Faisal for not being here for not knowing it. Wow.
I was amazed that it wasn't a technical term.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a logical term.
Yeah, because you talk about speed, you talk about megabits per second, gigabits per second, and that G on it, you'd think it would stand for something like global in the case of GPS.
Yes.
Like gigabit in case of anything else to do with speed and data. It's just simply generation.
Wow, they say you learn something new every single day. So thank you very much for that, for that, Joel. Okay, let's get into something a little lighter. Every week we bring you a tech story that's either super cool, super funny, or sometimes just plain weird. This week's story is about a robot that, likes making robot pizza, and it's It's like a tech-driven prank, or I've seen this thing where you can get this buy this robot, and you can give it these AI instructions about the type of pizza and so on that you want, and it accesses your oven in your home, and it can create it does the whole ingredients and everything, puts it into your oven. It's got a timer and thing, takes it all out, and boom, you've got a pizza. And I was just thinking, I was sat there, I was thinking to myself, I'm sure we spoke about this on the Tech Fact, and somebody gave this away because it was so out there. I was like, this is really cool, I want one. But did we actually give this secret away to someone?
I'm sure I've seen that same technology in a vending machine as well.
Oh.
Yeah, where you say, I want such and such pizza, and then the robot arm puts your sauce on the base, cheese on the base, and then it cooks it and it spits it out. I'm sure I've seen a vending machine like that as well.
Japan, I bet.
I would suspect that it would be Japan.
And you've been to Japan as well. I mean, I've seen some of these videos in Japan and South Korea and stuff, and you can literally walk into what would look like an amusement arcade here in the UK, but it's actually vending machines in those countries, and they sell everything.
Yeah, from crabs to
meals,
Pokemon cards to whatever it might be. Yeah.
Stunned.
Yeah,
I was genuinely stunned.
Quite a lot of the vending machines that do the fresh food are robotic arms that do that kind of thing. Yeah, make your pizza fresh, make your udon noodles fresh, or whatever it might be.
Wow. I often look at that and I think to myself, would I want to give my food up? But I suppose it's a way of life there, isn't it? Where they're so used to having something. But I think I'd enjoy it. I'd be like, yeah, you know what, I'll eat this today. Or walking at Joel, what do you want? He'd be like, yeah, I'll have that cake or whatever. And I remember Matt, you remember, obviously, don't you? And he brought in these cakes.
Yes.
He had these cakes, right? And on the first inspection, you thought, what? But they were delicious. And I've seen those in vending machines as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we're just used to our vending machines not working. But
yeah, you know what? That's
Japan.
What it is.
Their vending machines are going to work, aren't they?
Their trains work and their vending machines work.
Well,
I went to Germany and their trains work on time, double-decker trains.
Yeah.
I went to France. The tube network works. It just works.
Yeah.
And our public sector, not public sector, our public transport in this UK really is lagging, honestly.
Well, for how much it costs. I think
it costs.
That's the worst thing about it.
Yes. I went to Saudi Arabia with Sham, and we were on a train, and that train was doing 300 Ks.
Wow.
And you're just like, and we were talking to someone, they said that the journey that we've just done is 4 hours in a car, and we did it in 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Wow, that's incredible.
And it was clean, Joel. It was completely clean. It was just going through deserts and all the rest of it. And even the economy class, we tried business later, even the economy, it was just like, we're in a 5-star hotel. Somebody comes out, all these, it was just like, they thought of all the little things as well, coat hangers here, and the footrest would come out. And I just sat there, I was thinking, I've been on LNER, and it's nothing like this. Yeah?
Probably cheaper than driving.
And I was going to say, and it cost me more than I've just paid here.
Yeah.
And, and my friend, he often says to me, he goes, look, you forget that when you go to these countries like Saudi Arabia or Dubai or China, they have vast amounts of unused, untapped land. So it's new technology, learnt from the past, applied all of the experiences, so they're going to make something obviously better. But in the UK, we've already got the infrastructure, so the only thing we're not going to rip it all out. We're just going to try and add to it. And that's why I was a little bit excited about HS2. I was like, we're going to dig a new line. And I stopped, and I think they're going to be reviving it and so on. But even the plans for that were nothing like I've already seen in mainland Europe or in the Middle East.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, one of my stories that ties in very nicely to one of my cool stories. It mentions Japan and is to do with transport systems. So at the moment, they're currently investing heavily in an automated cargo transport system. So where we're talking about building new infrastructure, what they're actually currently doing is they're building a self-driving transport corridor between Tokyo and Osaka. It's essentially, think of it like a conveyor belt road, okay? And it is going to take autonomous freight vehicles, so lorries basically. And the reason they're having to do that is because the aging population of Japan is resulting in a shortage of truck drivers.
Okay, you said aging or Asian?
Aging.
Okay.
Aging.
Just checking.
So basically, they're building a dedicated tunnel road system that's going to connect two of their largest cities specifically for autonomous vehicles, for the end goal of moving commodity between the two cities.
Wow.
Not people, just things.
Yes.
The reason they're doing that, like I said, because of the aged population, but also the corridor, I think, will ease congestion on the sort of human piloted roads now, I suppose. I don't know, what's the opposite?
Piloted roads.
What's the opposite of automated vehicle? I don't know, people driving, yeah.
That is a gem. Human piloted roads.
Yeah.
Wow, Joel.
Yeah. Increased efficiency, things like that. So they're not using trains because...
Wait, I'm trying to get to digest what you've just said. Are you human?
Yeah, I think
all right,
so,
cool.
Yeah. So someone said, well, why don't they just build a train?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you mentioned HS2, why don't they just build a train? But trains go from A to B, and they're quite difficult then to get to C, which is where that product needs to be, that shop, that warehouse, distribution centre or whatever it might be. So you still need some sort of lorry, vehicle, van, an unloading process. You still need logistics to get it from the train station to that. But the idea of this system is they'll be able to load them onto automated vehicles at one side. Those automated vehicles will then go, away from human piloted vehicles all the way to, location B.
HPVs, by the way.
But they'll also be able to go on to location C as well.
Yes, because, I get it.
And, going back to our 5G, 4G things, as we talked about, at the moment, the data technology and speed isn't there to have everything automated. So in building a separate transit system specifically designed for like these autonomous lorries that can move, these commodities around and move all this cargo around, that's pretty good.
Wow. Okay, so I've got something called thermo... Sorry, what were we going to say?
I was going to say, so if HS2 was an autonomous vehicle corridor instead of a train, would that be more future thinking than just building another train that's going to save us 20 minutes to Birmingham from London?
You make a good point.
I don't know.
Well, you make a good point.
That out there.
I've got something called thermoelectric generators. Now, these can convert carbon dioxide into useful chemicals, which could help with Mars colonization.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like a good space story. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the Chinese developing rocket fuel from water that they could find on the moon, and we talked about various other. The last show we did was around climate, yeah, and we talked about green hydrogen and things like that. So how does this work then?
So that's a good part of this, and guess what's just happened? I've just timed out on this thing. Bear with me a second.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll come back. While I do that, I will tell you, there's a new laser technology that can help border security distinguish illegal ivory from legal mammoth tusks. That's out. That's
a problem, is it?
Okay. It is, clearly. Yeah. And this is all this week, by the way. So the top tech stories from this week. You have... just trying to load this thing. Typical now, I've been put on the spot. This hasn't happened.
Let me talk about another one that I've got then. So... from space, this is a space story. I like a good space story. There is a new era of environmental monitoring coming, and what people are saying is that methane is actually a bigger greenhouse gas than CO2.
See, now it's interesting you should say that, because I've always thought it was anyway.
It is. Now, the trick here is that CO2 seems to stay for a lot longer in the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas. Methane creates a larger greenhouse gas effect than CO2, but it isn't around for as long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one of the big issues is everyone's banging on about reducing your carbon footprint, reducing your CO2, but there's not enough people out there saying, well, actually, methane's actually way more potent greenhouse gas, and it's not as monitored or restricted in the same ways that some of the CO2 stuff currently is. Anyway, they're going to be checking globally who is the big methane producers using satellites. So from space, again, fitted with sophisticated sensors that can measure methane equipments down here on the ground with high precision, and they can pinpoint specific sources such as gas and oil facilities, landfills and agricultural operations. And this comes back to our real-time data, our real-time monitoring, and it allows then authorities or governments to quickly identify who is leaking too much methane.
But the problem there is, and we know this when we have all of the COP23s and 24s and 26s and so on, you'll have countries who have already had the Industrial Revolution, right? You've got those who are currently going through the process of digitizing their economies and farming and so on. And then you've got that other bunch who don't care. They'll just carry on. If you look at the UK as an example, although we're doing all these things, we're rushing towards 2030 and so on, our emissions are so low now. People obviously point the finger at America and China and so on, but China's also doing a lot to recalibrate that number, but they're still putting out a lot of information, a lot of pollution, right? And how is it fair that you have these countries with vast amounts of money and resources who can do whatever they want, when they all get together, just say to these countries which are on the front line, they're going to get affected by climate change. Yeah, we'll give you this money. You can build up your defences, but at the same time doing this. Now, what will happen, I fear, is when that technology is used, it will be some of those countries will be some of the largest producers of methane. I mean, you'll have your Americas and your Chinas of the world, because obviously you have a lot of industries that are relying on cattle and and all the rest of it. But there will be these countries that get caught up. So it's a double whammy.
It is. That's an interesting point. But I think that for years and years and years, everyone has campaigned about CO2, and nobody knows about the methane. So I think that there is a high probability that there has been zero methane offset happen in the UK. So we could be just as bad as somewhere that we've sort of, offset our manufacturing, a less developed third world country. There's a potential there that they are producing less methane. And this kind of technology is going to open the door to that and say, well, actually, the problem is with the UK or America, they've got a high dependency maybe on beef or whatever, that's causing a lot of methane from raising cattle and things like that. Or it could be that because the sort of production of methane isn't as policed as CO2, it isn't offset. That has been happening in the last couple of decades here in the UK. So we sort of on our high horse and say, oh hello, we're brilliant. We're not producing any CO2 at all. But at the moment, we don't know whether we're producing too much methane, which is also... And
that's a fair point, but I can't help but feel that it will be just like it normally is. You'll have big business pushing back on government saying, if you do this, you know how many jobs are going to get lost and so on. So this is very interesting. I think it's a very, very good story you got there, Joel. What else have you got for me?
What else have I got? I've got... Let me have a quick look. I've got some cancer news.
Come on then.
Which is quite good. So recent advancements in medical technology have led to the development of a promising new cancer test that only requires a single drop of blood.
Is this to do with AI? Because I think I read something about this.
Possibly.
Okay.
It could possibly be that.
That is so interesting. With a single drop of blood. How have we come this far?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's amazing, because obviously quite a lot of cancer tests at the moment are sort of like biopsy driven. So to get the biopsy of your skin or whatever might be relatively easy if you're looking for melanoma or skin cancer or whatever. But if you've got one that's inside you more, it has to be a little bit more invasive. If they want to biopsy particular areas. But this is looking at doing it from a single drop of blood. So basically what they've discovered is in your blood there's sensitive biomarkers, and these tests can often rely on these sensitive biomarkers that can be detected as early signs of cancer even before symptoms appear. It's non-invasive, like I just said, so blood test is less invasive, more convenient and traditional than biopsies. Quicker processing as well. So this is another key thing. Testing can be processed relatively quickly, provided in a shorter time frame. And again, we know that early intervention with this kind of thing can help and improve treatment outcomes as well.
Without doubt, that is a game changer.
And it's way more cost effective as well. So the technology it's based on is affordable technology, and it's going to be, it has the potential to be accessed by the wider population, not just in this country, but sort of globally as well. Again, thinking of sort of less developed or third world countries that, perhaps don't have, access to good healthcare. And also it's going to be able to detect multiple cancer types, and some tests can detect multiple types of cancer as a broader screening tool for it as well. And then from that, you can come up with more personalised medical treatments, and certainly way more personalised service from your healthcare people. It's obviously important, though, that it is under development and clinical trials are currently ongoing. But
it's promising.
It sounds good. Yeah, as the technology continues to advance, if we can find that earlier, then...
And then there will be other organisations out there looking at dementia and so on, won't they? We know this anyway. We know that one of the net benefits of having AI was going to be that the medical sector, the health professions, were going to ramp up their research and technology. And we know obviously big pharma's at play, so they're going to be investing in these technologies to try and benefit people as much as they can. And I think what you touched on something that really made me think there. If you look at the NHS at the moment, one of the things that you see is that there'll be some type of drug somebody needs and it's just too expensive. And so they'll either not be able to get it, they may have to go to another country to get it, or the NHS just simply won't buy it. So when I hear stories like this, where it's cost effective, you can just hope. There's hope. Obviously, people are going to make money somewhere, but the fact that it will be cost effective, I think that's the key element here.
Yeah, this is really good. I mean, even myself, I'm taking part in a I don't want to call it a clinical trial. I suppose that's what you could
breaking
call it.
News.
But you essentially you sign up online and you tell them I'm this age, I'm this way, I'm this background, I do this much exercise, I don't drink, I don't smoke, all that kind of stuff. So you give them lots of personal information, and the idea is that they're going to be gathering and then profiling lots of different people, and then from that, if I then develop a certain type of cancer later on, and somebody else does that's got a similar background to me, they'll be able to tie those two together and say, well, actually, someone of this height, build, weight, blah, 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 has got more of a chance of getting this type of cancer. So again, there's technologies out there that are looking holistically at lifestyles and ethnic backgrounds and all sorts of different things.
Wow.
To see what happens later on in life and see what ailments and things they get.
Wow. It's brilliant. What a time to be alive, hey, Joel? So much stuff going on. What did we say earlier on? We've lived through all this revolution of technology. All right. Well, that's it. It's a wrap, Joel, for on tonight's topic. We've covered some incredible ground, from the far-reaching impacts of 5G to the entertaining side of tech innovation. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation and that we've sparked some thoughts about the world tomorrow. Thank you for tuning into the Tech Factor. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for Tech Insights. But for now, Joel, thank you very much. Do take care. Speak to you soon.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Craving authentic Desi flavors? Look no further than Desi Restaurant. From midday until 1 in the morning, enjoy our homemade specialties that will transport your taste buds. Indulge in tantalizing papri chaat